chain becomes increasingly complex and customer expectations continue to rise, digitalization is no longer a competitive advantage. It is a business imperative. This session will examine the opportunities and challenges surrounding technology adoption, the collaborative efforts needed to build more connected, efficient, and resilient logistic ecosystems. Now it's time to call upon on stage the moderator and the panelists for the session. First, I would like to invite on stage our moderator for the panel discussion, Mr. Meheriar Patel, Group Chief Technology Officer and Director of IT Master Group. Can we have resounding applause? Come on, everybody. I know this is the last session. You must be feeling a little lethargic, but I want everybody to bring back some energy. With extensive experience in technology, leadership, digital transformation, and enterprise innovation, he has been instrumental in leveraging emerging technologies to enhance operational efficiency and drive business growth across the logistics and supply chain ecosystem. We welcome you, Mr. Meheriar Patel. Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Kunal Maheshwari, Chief Growth Officer, Softlink Global. With a proven track record in international logistic and supply chain development, he drives strategic expansion while focusing on creating integrated logistics solutions, strengthening global networks, and enhancing cross-border freight capabilities. We welcome Mr. Kunal. Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Parvinder Singh, Managing Director, Hans Infomatic. With extensive experience in logistic technology and digital solution, he has been at the forefront of enabling supply chain visibility, process automation, and technology-driven transformation across the logistic and freight ecosystem. We welcome you, Mr. Parvinder. Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Sushant Shetty, Executive Director and Head Channel Liabilities, DBS Bank India, and also one of our proud partner for this event. With extensive experience in banking digital channels and transaction banking, he has played a key role in driving customer-centric financial solutions and digital innovations across the bank ecosystem. Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Pankaj Aggarwal, Chief Operating Officer, UniBuild.ai Motherson Group. He holds leadership experience spanning technology, operation, and digital transformation. He has been instrumental in driving innovation-led solutions that enhance efficiency and decision-making process across complex business environments. We welcome you, sir. Next, I would like to invite on stage Dr. Arloph John Vieira, Vice President, Supply Chain, Bajaj Healthcare. With 30+ years of pharmaceutical supply chain leadership, his deep expertise spans operations, regulatory compliance, and supply chain resilience, ensuring robust delivery and healthcare products across market. We welcome you, Dr. Arloph. Well, now, last but not the least, Mr. Pavel Mehta, Vice President, Supply Chain India, Pernod Ricard. Leading supply chains, one of the world's largest consumer goods networks, he brings valuable insights into logistics, transformation, network optimization, and the evolving role of technology in building agile and resilient supply chains. Well, I think it's going to be a very informative and insightful panel. We have such a distinguished and seasoned panelist sitting with us. I request Mr. Meheriar Patel to please take us ahead from here.
Yeah, no, I think it should be okay. I'll drive it from here. So, good evening, everybody. Last session, technology and logistics from options to necessity. Digital technologies such as real-time tracking, control tower platforms, predictive analytics, digital freight systems, they are increasingly reshaping global logistics operations. For exporters and manufacturers, the concern being limited visibility in cargo movements, lack of data integrations across stakeholders, and delayed decisions making to affect supply chain efficiencies. This is despite the growing awareness, technology adoption, which remains inconsistent, and this creates a gap to the end-to-end supply chain visibility and limiting the availability to build truly an integrated logistics network. Today's discussion will focus on interoperability, data sharing, investment models, and the role of collaboration between logistics providers, exporters, and technology companies in accelerating adoptions. So we have my panelists, colleague families, panelists who are a mix of technology service providers, bankers, and exporters themselves who will be part of this session. So we'll try to make it more interactive by giving reference to use cases, real life examples where we can display situations on both the user side as well as the technology service providers. So I'll deep dive into the questions straight off to Pankaj first. Pankaj offers a leading AI-built solution for the supply chain management. And in today's world, implementing a robust supply chain structure forms a fundamental in creating where technology operation plays a significant role in outperforming normal structures. So if you look at a whole structure for an organization today, if you have to build a robust supply chain structure, then how does it start? Where does it go? Where does it end? How does it follow? That's what Pankaj could enlighten us on.
Okay. Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So I think like what we need to look at when we talk about supply chain, typically we talk about logistics. That's very one piece of the whole gamut. Okay. Because we talk about logistics and then we start looking at now AI as one thing, it will solve every problem, but it doesn't work like this. Now, I think what we need to do is 2-3 things I will say. One is the company need to look at a structure from a point of view, the robustness of the supply chain. Because the kind of turmoil which we are facing right now, and this turmoil is not particular year or a season, is going on for now years after years. It was COVID, it was trade war, it was something else. Every year there's some new colors to this turmoil. So we need to look at, company need to spend time in putting a robust supply chain. That means they have suppliers in multiple locations so that it's not disrupted. Right now, it's not about how efficiently you run a supply chain. The key is, do you have a supply chain which can run in a particular situation? If something happens in a particular country, are you able to survive? I think that's where the companies need to focus on creating a basic DNA, basic framework. And then, don't waste too much time in reinventing technology yourself as a company.
Yeah, so
every freight forwarder, everybody has everything. So why to reinvent it? But I think fundamentally is develop your supply chain which meets your business need first of all.
Yeah, Pankaj, I think the role that you're not only playing the India-centric role. I think your product is more of a global situation. So you have the exact situation which is happening across the geography. Can you give some examples there?
Okay. So what is really happening now, globally what you see, with this war situation, suddenly the Middle East route is stopped, okay? When the COVID happened, lot of things were stopped. After COVID, there was lot of force measure happening in Europe. There was a blockage in the canal, again it happened. So every time and again, these things are happening. And now, overnight, you may use the best of the tools, best of the AI, or best of the software. If you cannot move your ship, you cannot move the ship. Maybe the best software can tell you how fast you will die. That's it.
True.
And right now the companies don't want that. Company want, they should survive. You know, they tell in the war, when you're alive, you can be more useful. Don't die.
True.
Okay, so I think what companies need to look at, create an infrastructure where you have and that's where we need to look at more of a cloud supply chain. And that's where UniBuild was formed, that companies can source from different parts of the world. Like if you want to source something, I can source you in 45 countries. Maybe it doesn't need to be always the best price, but you have the option.
True.
When something goes down, you are able to source. So more and more people need to look at a cloud supply chain. And I give you one more example. Europe, there is a lot of cost pressure in Europe. In last 2-3 years, the number of bankruptcies are going up dramatically in Europe because of the cost pressure. Now, they don't have enough bandwidth or headcount even to run supply chain, to run sourcing. Now, how do they find cost reductions? To find a supplier in India, China, etc., etc. They need some warm bodies in those countries to support them. They cannot go of their own to find out suppliers. I think that's where we are head to head. And then technology can support it. But technology cannot enable this thing right now. That's what I think I have a big conflict. But sometimes we oversell technology. But I think the basics have to be kept in place.
So, Pankaj, if I can just summarize this, I think the need of the hour is more of collaboration. Working in silos will not work in this period and the times that we are facing. I think those are some of the very good inputs that we are providing. Pavel, you come from an organization where you lead a supply chain for Pernod. And probably if you look at comparing the technology backbone in your organization versus a context to a global situation, where do you stand? Are we better off than them? Are we at par at them in terms of technology? So your words on that.
Maybe a bit of my thoughts on your first question, which is about how can we start leveraging our supply chain structures better. And I'm fully convinced that the traditional approach of an operating model where we are trying to digitize and optimize individual functions has to change. We have to evolve and digitize and optimize the entire supply chain. So a few things that every company now starts to do but needs to accelerate is, first of all, you have to look at a long-term digitization roadmap across all supply chain functions. I'll give you a very simple example where if you don't think like that, it starts to break down. So we implemented a lot of IoT in our manufacturing side, improving the OEE there, but we realized the biggest source of loss of efficiency in the manufacturing is that we could not integrate manufacturing with planning. So a lot of downtime was happening because of planned changes. So you need to integrate that. We improved a lot on our planning side, but we still have a long way to go because we cannot integrate with our vendors. So if I want to, for example, run any VMI model, that's where you have to scale up your entire digital ecosystem. Similarly, and we talk a lot about logistics, now I cannot fully leverage the power of an integrated logistics solution unless I integrate with my customers, so having structured replenishment models and things like that. So that's the first step. And then, of course, start building end-to-end visibility, bringing those things to life, what we, those big buzzwords like control towers and things like that, that is then starting to bring all that. And if I link it to a discussion on a structure, before Pernod, I worked for a long time with Nestle. So one of the things that we started to do in Nestle many years ago is to start creating a comprehensive, holistic plan for what activities can be aggregated at scale. And therefore, these are operational activities, can be digitized, robotized, in fact, and what activities can be aggregated and centralized based on competence. So creating a structure of what could be a center of competence versus what could be a center of scale. So that is how I feel that the evolution and how technology and operations play together in the evolving of a structure. Now,
so,
to your second question, I think we are far ahead in first of all, our hunger to use technology, our ability to leverage technology at a much more granular level. Many global companies are, I would say, starting to think of leveraging technology, but we are far ahead of that. So yes, we still have a lot of things to do, but we are definitely in a much better situation than a lot of global companies.
Excellent news. I'll just move to the next question. So everybody has one question in mind, that whenever we adopt technology, it has to be implemented with speed, accuracy, correctness, and giving the true ROI or result for the implementation. But we go and normally see in cases 75 to 80% do not look at the risks or do not mitigate the risks, which comes as a challenge later on. And that creates a hindrance in their implementation. So I'll go to Dr. Arloph. In talking about why technology adoption has been slow, and what are the drivers that could be a learning for all of us in implementing a more seasoned structure or taking the risk in mind, looking at certain points that you can evaluate earlier than implementing. So I think implementation is something that you can talk about.
I've been in the, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay. See, I've been in the implementation of technology in at least 3 or 4 companies, and I'll just share some of the experiences, so you'll get to know exactly what it is. See, anything you implement, technology, any technology, first thing, it is a change. And to implement a change is not easy. So you have to work from the mind of a human being, okay? So if you look at, there are 2 parts to it. The one who sells the technology to you and where it is being implemented. That one who wants to sell the technology, I think he said it they oversell it. Ye bhi hoga, ye bhi kar sakte ho. Everything, they are overselling all the time because they want the product to be sold. So they created a problem for themselves in the initial stage, okay? They are not very specific, this is what we can do, but this we cannot do, And in that effort to push that product to us, the technology, or they try to oversell, that is one part of the problem. But I think that can be tackled with a detailed discussions and other things, and still that is tolerable, manageable. But the bigger challenge comes from the human side of it. How to bring a change. Now, there are 2 ways to it. You need a top-down and a bottom-up approach. The top-down is if the top management is very clear that this technology is to be implemented and this is here to stay. And we got to change over from the legacy system what we have. Once you get that buy-in, then I think half the job is done. But you got to start work from down. Apprehensions of people, what people feel about it, what they are knowing. You got to you have to educate them. You have to bring about awareness of what benefit this is going to go. And first and foremost, at least in the Indian scenario, nobody is going to be sacked. You understood? Any technology coming, they are fearing that now there will be a reduction of manpower or something will happen. So, you got to work on that human factor all the time. But apart from the top and the bottom, the biggest challenge is the bottleneck is always in the neck of the bottle. It is the heads, the tops, who actually are not tech savvy. They themselves are not aware of the technology. They themselves are not convinced. So they are not in it fully, but the top management has said it, so they are there. Okay, karna hai. I'll give a few examples without naming the name of the company. When you are implementing any ARP, we do an as-is basis first, and then there is a to-be, right? We did as-is basis for all the departments, and there was one department which we could not do it even after 9 months. And do you know which department? You all will be shocked. It was the accounts department, finance and accounts. Now, do you know why? Because the whole legacy of Excel and Tally, the whole control, and that power center will always remain. Once it is ERP, it is known to everybody, the status is known, it's online, it is real time. We literally were not able to implement it also. So there are pockets in your organization who really don't want, but they are doing it because top management has told. So we have to identify, there are 3 types of people, one who are supportive, one who are the fence sitters, and one who are ensuring that you don't implement it. So you have to identify those people and really keep them aside first.
Did you formulate a COE within your organization for the same point?
Now, see, you put in a lot of processes, you make a CO, everything is okay. But remember one thing, the human mind is a human mind. You have to persuade, cajole, and convince the person that this is here to stay. This is a benefit we are going to have. A lot of work has to be done for implementation. It's all about the human mind, I can tell you. I've been involved with many. I'll give you another case where we implemented in 9 months, flat, everything. Superb, 9 months we went go live. But I was the only general manager who knew how to operate SAP. With all the T codes, transaction codes I knew. But all other general managers, mera password le lena, approve kar lena. They didn't know anything. They gave it to their juniors, approve kar dena. Means what? Means what? The lower level people were approving it by giving the password. So what is the need of that general manager? And the same thing happens when the top management or the department heads or the vice president, you call it, general manager, call it, or whatever level you have designations in your company, if they are not tech savvy, they are not trained well, they are not convinced. I'll tell you one department where they did not allow people, they did not make them free for training. Both काम है, quarter end results, monthly results, this, that, audits are there, and also you'll have all such challenges. But you have to persevere. Time is a healer, but it takes a little longer time sometimes, but you don't have to give up. And the most important part is, because data is coming in, somebody's output becomes somebody's input data. So all the departments, collaborative departments also have to be taken. You have to buy in with everybody. It is a cross-functional teams you have to form, and but you have to identify the most non-supportive and those, and at least, try to bring in, take help of the managing director, take help of the top management. You have to set this right.
Dr. Arloph, to summarize in short, you need a Sachin Tendulkar inside.
I don't know what
who
Sachin
hits the
Tendulkar,
sixes
whatever.
and the hundreds with the team.
I mean,
and
you have to
sparkles.
work with them, that's all. And bottom line, you have to get it done, You can't just leave it, that way.
Yeah, I think more importantly, your points are in terms of collaboration, change management, taking the team for the betterment, convincing the team. I think those are some of the things which are very, very critical in implementations. So we'll move into an area which is equally important to all of us, is the capital. Freight forwarding capital remains one of the biggest point of involvement in terms of spends. So supply chain has become increasingly digital, but the flow of capital often remains fragmented. So if you look at, it's a concern of a purse where the purse is not opened up completely. It's opened in silos. And then when you compare that to the technology implementations, the movements of goods, information and money into a single seamless ecosystem is very important. So I think the payment gateways, how the funding happens, how can the technology layer also adds to this payment gateway point. So this is something that, Sushant, you can address.
Sure. So firstly, a very good evening to everyone. Yeah. So I think, yes, you're right in terms of saying how capital would play a part out here. But it's not fully true that nowadays it's as bad as what it was 5, 7, 8 years back. What happens today is we want capital to move as fast as the goods move, right? So there is an integration where you technically see a lot of, trade documents lying with, ERPs or, accounting softwares. You'll see a lot of documents from importer, exporter, the trade documents lying with them. And you'll see the financing happening at bank. So these three things remain in three different places, but it can today be easily integrated through APIs. So when you bring in tech, you technically then see that you can integrate what's lying with an ERP player, with a importer, exporter, and with the eventual end person who's financing you. So that's actually happening. In fact, in DBS, what we believe is to kind of be embedded in an ERP or to be at the back end. And I'm not saying it because it's something blue sky, it's something we've already done. So if you look up what we've done with Maersk, we did an e-way bill trade, a very large e-way bill trade with 5 parties involved, not a single physical document. So we used Trade Trust as a platform to kind of negotiate the entire trade, which is a Singapore-led company. There was ICICI who was the issuing bank. You had an importer, you had an exporter, 2 banks involved and a platform involved. So basically the entire deal was done with not a single document. So that's a reality today. We are working, of course, with Kunal's company, Logistics, Softlink, to kind of integrate and be a part of a ERP where we can actually go and lend. Now, is this blue sky? The answer is no. We've already done that with Odex. So when we got into this ecosystem of shipping logistics, we have today 1,000 plus freight forwarders, almost 7, 8 top liners banking with us. We are able to give financing on the invoices raised by the shipping company with no document asked. So this is unsecured loans up to 1 crore given on the platform to pay a shipliner because I know the end use and I know what the platform does. So I think that gap which is happening is kind of reducing. We always look at banks from a capital perspective. There's another thing that banks also bring in, not just us, anybody who does it well on tech, is efficiency in managing your day-to-day cash flows. You know, in your segment and in your sector, what we've been able to solve is actually pay-in and payouts on a daily basis, because that efficiency of crediting and not giving you any grief is another layer we add towards solving for capital efficiency that you're able to create. So I think eventually the end state for everyone or a finance company is to ensure that as soon as the goods go in, the data comes in, and we are able to flow through and give out finance. Yes.
Yeah, 2 points on this, Sushant. You would like to put some points on this or later? Yeah. So Sushant, 2 points here is normally when you find this working, especially on the EBL piece, payment gateways integrations are not an issue, but the integrations on the custom front could be a point of concern, because still that's a layer which is not addressed. That's number one. Lot of the freight forwarders also operate on house BLs.
Yeah.
So that is the one point. I'm just giving an observation. And the second point which comes into picture is that the BL in hand for us is a document in hand before we process. So probably those are two of the points which comes into my mind if you want to address that.
So I'll address it. I'll try my best to address it. You'll be the expert on it. But I'll tell you two things. We want to integrate, for example, with somebody like a Softlink who's already dealing with a very large audience in your segment, who already, like Kunal just mentioned, 80% of, I think the custom duty gets paid through his platform. Now there's already a use case of somebody and some behavior happening over there. Odix, for example, today all top 8 liners or 7 liners push their invoices through Odix. So if a bank goes bespoke to everybody and does it, it's an endless journey. But if I catch an anchor partner and I'm able to integrate, it's quite seamless. I'm already integrated with Tally for the last 5-7 years. Now I can integrate with any ERP. So I don't go bespoke, I go and talk about master. That's the only way to scale. That is one way of solving. The e-bill example I gave you of Maersk was actually had nothing to do with bill of lading. It's the confirmation coming from the ship liner and not from the importer or exporter.
Yeah, but it's part of the process.
Yeah, so it just starts there. There is no document, there's no physicality. Now, can it become wide scale? You have to build trust in all of this, but if you have a platform like Trade Trust coming in, it becomes far more seamless for you to execute.
Yeah, Sushant, so the point here is that if I am a freight forwarder, for example, I need to have a end-to-end working for the payment gateway solution. So only payment might not be the only point which I would look at.
Fair.
That's why this question came up.
Fair.
Yeah, so I'll move to Parvinder and Kunal, because they've been silent and they are hungry to respond to all the user prospects. So I'll go with Parvinder first. Organizations balance technology investments today. And if you look at a situation, cost pressure has been always a concern. Do more with less, especially in the price-sensitive markets, where today margins are a concern for everybody. So how do you propose the right technology investment? How do you go about doing it? And what are your comments for a freight forwarder?
Okay. The current view about technology is people view it as a cost. It's a cost I have to bear and all that. But the times have changed. 20 years back when we came to the market, it was a cost. They could say, okay, we have enough cheap manpower, labor available to do the things which the technology can do. But now the times have changed and they are changing very fast. People do not actually realize it. Okay, without technology, big businesses which have come. What big businesses which come based on technology? We would have had e-commerce, such a successful e-commerce business of people without technology. Their entire logistics is based on technology. So if they don't have the technology, their e-commerce business will fail. So this is what even the freight forwarders, they are also realizing that, and they have to realize that. Okay, if they do not have the efficient technology implemented in their organizations, they will fail. Right now, they think they have enough dedicated sales channels. They have dedicated, partners who are moving goods through them because they are loyal people and they are giving them good rates and all that. This good rates and all that will vanish because they are already incurring cost. They might think the technology is a cost, but they are incurring cost which is not measurable to them in a tangible format. Inefficient platforms of technology are leading to them inefficient way of doing things. They have static data which is just residing. They do not have data which is talking. The data is silent. They have different areas where the data is lying around. There is no interaction with the data. And they they have diverse systems, right? The systems are, they do diverse systems. For accounting, they will use one special tool. For EDI, they will one special tool. For freight forwarding, they will one, but they are not integrated. So what is the need for that? They are re-entering the data again and again and again and again. The traditional way of doing business is going to get disrupted. We have seen it what AI is doing. Last 6 months, if you are following the the media reports and everything, how AI is going to affect the job market or the way the business is being run. It is not in the future. It is already happening over here. People are they will get replaced, or they will, if they are not getting replaced, they have to come up with their own new skill set to use AI. You don't have to create AI, you need to use AI. And efficient people are, like technology, we go to ancient times. When there were bullock carts, horse carts, tongas, it was one technology which basically happened. You moved from pedestrian way of moving from point A to point B to these things. Then came the bicycles and rickshaw, three-wheelers, rickshaws and all that. People used to say, oh, my job, the tonga guy or the bullock cart guy says, my job is gone, how will I survive and all that. And the new players, the younger players which came, who bought those rickshaws, bought those bicycles, they went far away. Means they became more efficient, and then they moved farther away. That means that was a good progress for them. And ultimately they also got replaced. The people who are not willing to change is going to hurt them very bad. Earlier it used to take decades to do that, or few years to do that. Now it is going to do few months. People will get left behind, logistics players will get left behind if they do not change their way of working. Their current manpower will never be in favor of getting latest technology because they fear their own jobs. My job will go. They will always come out with hundreds of objections. This technology should not be used. This should not be more automation and all that, because he's scared. He's scared I will become redundant. But actually that's not the case. He just needs to reinvent himself to use the newer technology, and he will become more efficient, and in turn his organization will become more efficient. So that is the thing, how that cost has to be done. Cost is not a cost. It's an investment which is going to pay in a very short time now. Earlier it used to pay in a longer period. Now it's being compressed. Yes, technology is of course expensive. AI is not cheap, and the new platforms are not cheap. We know that they have to pay, but that is the investment, and that's where the funding comes. The funding, the traditional way of funding is, against your discounting of bills, your freight things, how much and all that. Now the funding also has to change. The bank's mindset has to change. You want to invest into a new technology. What is it? How it will become efficient? They have to make a business case for that. And the banks and the investors should be funding that. How quickly this organization reinvents himself, becomes more efficient, lean and mean, and I can have my ROI much faster. That should be the question now, not about, it should not be a question whether I can afford technology or not. He has to afford technology or get some funds to implement that, spend time on that, spend time on retraining the people, and get the results will come within few months. It's not going to come in a couple of years and all that. Results will start coming because there are so many logistics players. Some will always be hesitant, they will be left behind. Some who will take the first lead, a leapfrog, they will go ahead, they will capture the market. So depends upon what is your mindset, what is the mindset of the ownership. They want to listen to their employees to safeguard their current way of working or safeguard his own livelihood by deploying more technology which becomes his manpower to be more efficient, or he has to get a new manpower.
Thank you.
There's enough manpower available.
Great. Thank you so much for your input. So Kunal, then the same question comes to you with a twist. Freight forwarding companies, we want to pay. Nothing is free, right? I mean, obviously it comes at a cost. But normally freight forwarding companies has a challenge themselves into margins, into speed to market, speed to operate, quick quote, bookings. Lot of things today are dimensional changes. Normally, a freight forwarding software has to go to the next level. And obviously innovation, both of you are driving a lot of innovation in the market on a product value. So can you touch that space of the product, which probably gives us some enlightenment?
Sure. I think let me just start by highlighting a few points, as I told you, right, observing. So there are a few points I want to touch upon before I answer this question.
Sure.
One thing which you mentioned, the technology adoption is slower or slower in pace. I'm sorry to say, no, it is not anymore. In the last 5 years, there has been a rapid adoption of technology, all right? Most of the companies are already digital. Now it's about how do they become intelligent with the AI coming in. So let me just pin that thought for now. Second, a very well point which Mr. Vieira made. The resistance usually comes from the finance side. Well, we as a software vendor or as a technology partner for the logistics industry, we always tend to make the CFO our best friend. Because if the implementation is driven from the CFO, it will never go wrong. All right? So that's second point I want to touch.
I think, Kunal, you're a good salesperson.
But you have to deal with him on the payments.
Yes, agreed. And the third point which Sushant made is very well rightly said that as a bank, they are just not there for the capital. They are there to make processes easier. And if they get their data in a time-sensitive manner, rather than waiting on for papers and papers, then their efficiency also translates into the efficiency of a freight forwarder, right? One of the very few banks who approached us on their own proactively, because always banks are a little more conservative in their approach, but they approached us and it was a proactive approach. So they really want to make a difference. So just 3 points from my observation. And coming back to your question now. So we work with 5,500 plus freight forwarders across 51 countries, right? And we work with many of the most successful freight forwarders. I can see Vipinji here, and we are proud to be associated with him for the last almost about 25 years. One of our first customers in Delhi. So just I saw him, I wanted to mention it. Over the years, historically, freight forwarders or any logistics service providers have seen technology as a transaction cost. What they need to do is they have to elevate themselves and see it as an investment into processes. All right? When they see this as a transactional cost, they will start investing in fragmented systems to save cost. Now, what is that doing? That is putting data in silos. Nothing is talking to each other. And then what it does is data entry problems, no data visibility for the future. That happens. Now, if they start adopting technology as an investment, they can very well make sure that these bottlenecks which are caused can be streamlined when their entire data is flowing through a single system. We have seen personally, all right, and I have statistics to back. I work with top air focused forwarders, so let me take their examples, and of course ocean as well, but let me take an example from the air perspective. We were able to cut down their data entry time by almost 95%. Now imagine, you spoke about margins, right? Yes, freight forwarders are always fighting for margins. They have their own business problems to deal with. You know, I meet at least 50 to 70 freight forwarders in a week, so I know it very well. I know their problems. How to go about to solve that problem? They have to go in for more and more volumes, right? If the margins are getting squeezed in, let's try and get more and more volumes. These adoption of a unified technology rather than having disintegrated system, if they are on a single system where the data is flowing simply in a very seamless manner, they can increase their volumes without adding to the headcount, without adding to the cost, which is a direct cost, by the way, right? We've seen companies who have doubled down on single systems, be it mine or be it anyone else. They have the leverage of using the data to also make sure that it is giving them some predictive analysis or predictive visibility in the future, right? And let me tell you very honestly, these days, to invest in technology is not a big bang approach. You can start small. You can go module wise. You can, stagger your adoption of technology. We have so many, ways for making people adopt technology from a transaction model basis, right? We've seen, and personally I have seen companies who, there were like 3 people in one big company. They left that big company, started their own freight forwarding company, right? Typical story. The first thing, because they have been working in a big company, the first thing they believe in is technology, right? Now this 3 people company has now scaled on and became a 150 user business for me. But these people believed in technology and invested early so that these processes get adopted over the period. They are not happening when you're too big with too much volume and now you have to go back and build it from scratch. So I see very honestly, if the investment is done in the right manner into technology, the fruits are very much enjoyed by the end users, by the freight forwarders. Be it margins, yes, it's a cycle business. I'm not even complaining about it. But technology investment, there is no alternative to it anymore.
Thanks, Kunal. Very insightful. So I'll move to Pavel. I think we're talking about barriers now. Your organization is leading digital transformation in logistics. So if you look at the barriers, normally it comes in 4 to 5 silos, which are legacy systems, talent gaps, infrastructure. So how are you addressing the digital transformation? And there could be some more barriers that you are addressing, if you can enlighten.
Sure. You're absolutely right. So I'll give the answer with a very practical example that we are going through. So a couple of years back, I started to evaluate to implement a transport management solution globally. And what we realized is that globally we are operating with almost 64 different ERPs. So you can imagine that at the first step itself, while my ambition was to digitalize transportation and leverage, because Pernod is a very global company, single source for most of our products, a very long global supply chain. So without even going into too much details, a good TMS will give me a huge benefit in visibility and cost. But where we got stuck is that how do we address the problem of having 64 different ERPs? Now, of course, nowadays it's not as impossible as it was a few years back. There are ways to get around it, but legacy systems and the way they are used is a huge bottleneck for any kind of digital transformation in logistics. The other part is data. Now, again, as we started to evaluate our preparedness, we realized that, of course, because ERPs are different, but even the basic way in which data was collected, cleaned, and used, the definition of KPIs was completely different across the globe. So there is a lot of preparation, change management in making sure that you have a very strong data governance, you have a very strong articulation of what those data stewards are across the organization, and of course you need to figure out how to deal with a very fragmented ERP system. The third was, in my view, and this is which is something that I'm going through, is that as we digitalize, as we, like Kunal very rightly said, move from or expand our ambition from just digitalizing to being intelligent, do I have the right organization? Do I have the right organization where I will be investing millions and millions of dollars and euros into a platform, but do I have the right organization which can leverage that? And the answer to that again was, at this stage, no. And therefore, any digital transformation has to come with all of these factors being considered. And unless you address all of that and address having the right structure, address having the right data inputs, address having the right legacy systems in place, you're not going to get the benefits. The other part, like you very rightly said, is on the ROI. And at least my experience, having done multiple digital transformations, is that if you go into this, and I think many of us have mentioned this, if you go into any digital transformation with an ambition of saying, I'm going to digitalize that, it will not work, because then you go through a very standard path. Pilot, year one, build some dashboards, build a few of these, year two onwards, resistance from the users, and then you have to re-implement something again. So unless you have a very clear vision of what processes you want to improve, what is the benefits that you're going to drive through the process improvement part, then a digital solution or a digital platform becomes an enabler with a very clear articulation of the process improvement and a continuous improvement journey. So these are some of my insights on, like you very rightly said, why are we still not able to get a high ROI is because we haven't thought through all of these.
Yeah.
And a simple trick that I have adopted over the last few years is not to just look at a global case, global business case, but really a very small subset of it and go very, very deep, even at the design phase. So then it's not just we will deliver 20% inventory optimization. Okay, take a small case and show me how. If I'm confident of that, then my entire process works seamlessly.
Perfect, Pavel. I think these are the barriers all of us go through, and it's not specific to just one industry. Especially when you are implementing digital transformation, I think a use case journey, deep dive into your organization, because you are leading not just the digital transformation, but the transformation of the people involved. I think that's very, very critical, and you rightly pointed that out.
Absolutely. And like Doctor mentioned in his earlier answer, at the end of the day, if you don't engage the hearts and mind of people, it's not going to work. And sometimes very simple things work. If my user interface is better than the user interface of this current solution, that is the only thing sometimes which is enough.
One of the biggest benchmarks I've seen in logistics companies on any side, whether he's a freight forwarder or a supply chain of a company, is that if you have achieved a result of transforming the person involved in a process from an X to an X to X plus 10 on a digital platform, then you've won the case.
Absolutely.
Because that's the winning point that is
Absolutely.
looked at. Because there you achieve a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. And the way I look at it is, and it has helped me a lot over the last many transformations that I've done, is that if you can tell the guy on the shop floor or the guy managing my transportation that you will spend 30% of your time doing more value-added activities, and I will support you in that journey, then that is the first step that you have to address.
So Pankaj, over to you. I think Pankaj, as an organization, Motherson looks at in various segments, global processes, manufacturing units. I think, and you run a unit which is leading the digital transformation. So this question is very, very pertinent in terms of how have you driven, you've already driven a successful organization, UniBuild.ai, as running for the last several years. So what have you done? Actually, that is something that we want to know.
Okay. So I think one thing we need to be very careful is when we talk about digital transformation is a lot of time we do feature-based transformation. This software will provide you this data, this screen will become better, this data will be more comprehensive, we keep collecting too much data. Now as a businessman, I really don't care. I have a banker sitting next to me, we need money. So I think for a logistic company, for a business, I don't really look at what is technology they are doing. If I'm engaging a freight forwarder, I don't need to worry about what technology is using. I need to see year over year, he's delivering me cost reduction, better delivery, that's it. What he does in the back is his kitchen, is his problem. So I think that's a fundamental thing what we need to do. And same thing when we're implementing a digital transformation, what are you getting out of it? Like, are you saving some money? And if you're not, then don't do it. As simple as that. Because we have too many, you know, you have a limited capital. That's the most scarce resource right now. So you have to spend the money where you get best of the return. So you need to be very wise on doing this. For example, when you talk about digital transformation, like you said, you have so many ERP. I have like 450 plants worldwide. So I don't know how many ERP we have. We don't even know. Now on my mobile phone, I have my complete data of purchasing worldwide. Now I didn't implement ERP because if you implement the ERP, I have to take 3 more berths to do that. So we did something else to make sure that everything is on my mobile phone. Yeah. But why do I do that? Can I reduce 5% material cost? Then it makes sense. If I create very good dashboard, nobody's going to buy it. And one very important thing, if I tell somebody, like every employee, okay, you will get more value added activity, who cares? Trust me, sorry, I'm being very blunt. And you doing a job for 8 hours, you do this or you do that, how does it matter? At the end of the day, are you paying your salary or not? Are you delivering me ROI? And that's what matters. You know, everything else, and they feel excited, you know, if you're delivering some better, meaningful results. And as somebody said, you're not firing anybody. Lot of these tools have been implemented in Europe, etc. Okay, let's put cobot or something. You will save half a person. Now, where do you get half a person? Or 0.25%? They still remain there, and then you spend, now you see the trend, people are firing left and right people who are implementing AI because their cost has gone up for power. Now what you do, we fire people. Not because of AI, because the cost has gone up, you have to justify that cost. So I think for me, digital transformation only happens once you have a tangible business case upfront. If I do this, I'm going to save $10 million, period. Then I will spend $10 million for that investment. That doesn't matter to me. So look at that way. Reverse is, okay, my dashboard will look good. You know, I don't want to beautify my shitty process. So let's be very candid. And I think, like for example, if I look at all the cargo people, logistic people sitting here, like UniBuild, I will not do your digitalization. What I'll do, I'll reduce your logistic cost by getting you better tire prices, better oil prices. That's what they're looking at. That's what matters. They will say, okay.
So, Pankaj, are you saying that all that boils down to is cost saved?
Absolutely. Because how you will spend? Look, you come to me tomorrow, a proposal. Okay, implement my system, it will cost you $100,000. Why should I do that? You say it will improve efficiency of people. I don't care. If you're spending $100,000, can you get me $1 million out of it? then I will implement right away. If my ROI is not more than 2 years, immediately I will sign the check.
True.
If you say, okay, after 10 years you will have ROI, 10 years, 5 years the technology will change. That system what you implementing will be obsolete after 3 years anyway. So you pay, you invest, get the money, move forward. And is my customer happy with that? That's another important thing. I may say, okay, I implemented software, but I have 10 customer complaints still coming every day that my delivery is not okay. So you have to look at outside-in approach versus inside-out approach in a larger scale.
Thank you. Thanks, Pankaj. So over to you, Parvinder, on the same point of barriers. I think your points would be different than what was answered by Pavel and Pankaj.
Regarding the barriers?
This is regarding the digital transformation, the barriers in logistics.
Okay. Digital transformation, as I said earlier also, it is a choice. It is a mindset problem and it's a choice. Whether you want to go full-fledged on that or you want to do half-hearted measures on that. Half-hearted measures never work. And digital transformation has to happen if the progress has to be made. I can give you two examples very early in my life when I just started my company and was trying to sell one small product to the forwarders. So I will give you two examples. I went to the forwarders, the product was so, they think it had an automated system, it could send the emails and everything directly to the customs and all that, automated. So, but it needed an internet. So this freight forwarder said, if I give internet to my staff, they will, the whole day they will surf the internet and watch different things over there and they will spoil their time. I do not give them the internet. Internet is only on my system. Whenever someone needs it, I only do it, they come to me and I only do it. So your product is going to be a failure. We don't give internet to the staff because staff waste their time. I said, that's not there, it will, change. At that time, there were dial-up modems, you didn't have the broadband like lines, because the dial-up modem will be only with the owner or the manager where he will do that dial, choon, cha, cheen, it will happen and connect the system and all that, right? So, of course, he was one customer. Like that, there were others also, they had different objections to things. But some people who took a leap of faith, okay, let me do my things on my own. They did it, and suddenly they realized that their people were more efficient. He was able to handle more shipments, and then this trend caught up. Of course, at that time, customs also played a major role. They also mandated that we should not be coming to the ports to submit your data. I should be sending it online to the ICAT and all that. Another example is a government agency example. We have a software for land ports also. So we implemented that land ports. When we were doing that, the people over there, operators, they refused to accept the software. They literally went on a strike. They says, we will not use it. Why? He says, we are now almost 50 years old. Now today we have been used to writing things and writing registers and all that. Today you tell me to use a keyboard and he doesn't know what a keyboard is. He will be doing like, that kind of a, he says, I can't transform now. It's too old in my age. Actually, one was the reason that, and the other reason was that when there is a manual process, there is a lot of leakages, a lot of inefficiencies built into the system, which benefits these people, right? So that, the major resistance is that also. It's a commercial reason also. Of course, talent and commercial reason. So when we highlighted these things to the top management, land port authorities, and okay, this is the reason and all that, so they were livid with the rage, how can they say this and all that. I will change the manpower. Of working for years, they were reassigned to some different work. A younger lot was given and it was mandated that either you do it or you leave. When this kind of a statement comes from the controlling authorities, they have no choice but to work. And then their work, they started realizing the number of shipments are not increasing, but the revenue has increased tremendously. More than 50% the revenue increased because the leakage is stopped. the speed money stopped. Everything was transparent and they were getting data sitting in Delhi, okay, what is happening in land ports in Bangladesh border, Pakistan border, Nepal border. They were getting all that data. Okay, this much, we are having this much of data. We have this much of business, we never knew it. They never knew it. Then they started investing in creating more infra to handle more shipments. So this is what happens. The barriers are man-made. They are man-made. They are man-made for different mind concepts, for different things. So they get removed. ROI, you get the returns. They invested into that. They started getting the returns. If 50% increase, and it is not a small amount. It translated into lakhs every day. So all these things are there. Adoption in technology, I think me and his father, we spoke on this topic in 2009 in AAAFI convention in Goa. Over there, the topic was adoption of technology. We had presentations over there. That presentation is still valid as on today also. Whatever the points I had raised over there, or Amit had raised over there, they are still valid. They are still, although the number of differences are less, but it's still there, the way it is there. So this is how we are moving, our country is moving. They are resistance to change. The biggest problem is there is a resistance to change. People do not like to change. जो चल रहा है convention method वो चलेगा तो ठीक है. They are just not willing to change. And technology drives changes. And as I earlier said, AI is going to kick these people into adopting better resources, getting better results from their businesses. It's going to make it happen. And again, shape up or ship out. That is going to be the thing over them for this time.
Thank you, Parvinder sir.
Meheriar, can I add something? Hello? Can
Yeah,
I?
please,
Yes,
please,
sir, yeah.
please.
I just wanted to touch upon what Kunal said, that those three people, they knew the technology and they became 150. The new generation, they all believe in this technology. So there are companies which are formed. In an earlier trend was when you come to a certain size, then only technology was brought ERP. Now it has changed. The new generation wants to form a company and wants the technology on day one so that the company operates smoothly. So you must believe in that technology first. And if you believe in the technology, you know that the benefits happen. It is a different way of working, different method of working. It will simplify, it will reduce your mundane activities, it will automate things, and margins will come up, cost will come down, and automatically all your ROI and all will happen. First of all, you must believe that the technology is going to be good
Very
for
true,
you.
very
If you
true.
believe in that, then things happen.
Yeah, you have seen it recently also. A lot of startups have come in the logistics sector. Small companies, few people, handful of people, and suddenly they are doing their turnover is much more than the established players. Small startups in e-com or last mile deliveries, first mile delivery. Without technology, those startups would have not been possible. See, tracking of your shipments and last mile, first mile things, how it is happening, the volume, the packets they handle, that data, the small packets. Earlier, the logistics players are used to handling large packets, large consignments. But these startups, they are delivering it to you by using technology, small packets. Normally, the large logistics provider will not touch these kind of shipments. So this is what technology is driving growth over
Thank you,
there.
Parvinder sir. I'll move to the next question. I think that's very, very critical. AI. I think we cannot end this session without a lot of
Came
comments
last.
on AI.
It should have been started, I think.
Yeah, we'll go with Kunal first and then to Dr. Arloph and Sushant. Because today, businesses need AI implemented. I think enough of time has gone into an OCR read. Today the dimensions are talking completely different. So the question is, what impact will automation and robotics have on the logistics workforce over the next decade? I think that is one big picture for us to answer.
You know, I have a very, very different view than a lot of people out there. So, yes, AI will transform this industry big time, all right? Now, let us say in this exhibition hall, we have medium to large freight forwarders, right? And then there's another category of freight forwarders like the DHLs and the Kunal of the world, all right? With adopting AI in the right way, it creates a level playing field, you know? Okay, let's look at it from this point of view. A medium to large freight forwarder has day in, day out the same problems. Even a DHL and the Kunal day in, day out have the same problems. They both are trying to solve the same problems, be it an ocean shipment or an air shipment for their customers, right? But this medium to large freight forwarder has a finite number of people to do that, and DHLs and Kunal of the world have a lot of manpower to do that. But with AI coming in, this can make it a level playing field. Now I'll give you examples to back this up. As I told you, right, when it came to process acceleration, we have automated processes for document data entry, which is the biggest pain point. Not through OCR, now with AI, it could be any format out there in the world. We have automated data entry processes and brought down the time by 95%. Now that increases the volume massively, right? Another example. You all must have heard about agentic AI. Now this is a big thing which is coming in. What we have done is we have also adopted that technology and we're trying to label it as digital employee. Okay? Now we are leveraging on agentic AI. On a daily basis, most of the tasks which a freight forwarding company does or a person in the freight forwarding company does is repetitive in nature. Now with this digital employee, we are trying to make this repetitive tasks happen in the background in an automatic way. Another aspect here is this digital employee works for you 24/7, 365 days. No holidays, no lunch breaks, no dinner breaks, no smoke breaks. You know, all these are time-based activities.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But these digital employee coming in automates this 90% of the work which your, let's say, a document person was doing, or let's say a person who was making manual DSRs to send it to their customers was doing. Now here's what my thought is very different from a lot of people out there. Let's forget the fact that AI will replace manpower. No, that's something which we shouldn't believe in. What AI will make is these people who are doing these repetitive tasks. Okay, now these repetitive tasks have been now replaced by agentic AI or digital employee. And as we speak, we are doing it for our customers. The manpower or the workforce will have to realign themselves. Now, 90% of their repetitive tasks are now being done by the digital employee. What about this 10%, right? They have to now enhance their skills, elevate themselves. They have to work on more human-to-human relationship building because in the end, that is what gets you the more business, nothing else. And AI cannot do that for you, right? They have to invest their time in solving more complex problems, building relationships with the customers, providing better customer service. Because now they are freeing up with digital employee or with AI, let's call it. You can free up their 90% of the workload. Now they are just remaining with the 10%. Let's realign them to various different processes. We've seen in the customers which we work with, a document person has now elevated into business development or has now elevated into customer success or is now handling negotiations with shipping lines directly. Transformation is not coming, it's already here. We work with companies who are already adopting AI and whatever I have just spoken is happening in real time as we speak. So realignment of workforce is what AI is going to do. No one is losing their jobs, but if they don't realign themselves, if they don't upskill themselves, now that's a problem.
That's a concern.
Right.
Big concern. So we'll move to Sushant. I think logistics companies invest heavily in visibility platforms, automation and AI. Do you see a financial institution like yours evolving from service provider to ecosystem partners that actively enable growth and resilience?
No, no, absolutely. There's no future without doing that. And I think everyone said it, but I just want to echo it as an outsider to this ecosystem, kind of outsider to this ecosystem. I think the one vector or the one vertical which in industry we work in that pushed us most to do integrations and become more efficient was the shipping, logistics and cargo segment. So I don't believe that you all are not adopting and not taking tech seriously, because this is one segment which pushed us, and the volumes you guys handle is very large. So I got confident as a banker. I've been a banker for 20 years, 14 years in commercial banking. And I can tell all of you all who are here, it's your segment, that you all pushed us to make our platform so robust that I today go out and tell people the same thing, that my platform works fine because I have a Hapak on my platform and he pushes so many transactions every day. It tested our platform. It tested our cutoffs to something what Sir said and even Kunal said. Eventually finance will have to be an orchestration of all the information coming together. So I see AI happening for sure. I see your industry becoming more predictive than reactive, and all the information being available. See, today I'll give you a very layman example. Today there are some 500 fintechs who are lending to people like you and me on the street. Why is it? Because all our personal information is so easily available for us to lend. Now imagine in trade itself, I can have your BL, I can know this. What will happen in banking is that I will be able to predict through AI when do you need money, rather than you realizing you need money tomorrow, which becomes where you go to a easy lender or to an NBFC. AI will be able to tell you when to lend. AI will tell you ask for money because you've got this order, and you'll be able to keep that money with you. Banks will come and tell you, basis the information available on Hans or on Softlink, I can tell you today that you need the money in October, because I can see your purchase invoices. I think banks will be we are quite digital forward. We are already live on Agentic AI for our employees, and we are already going to use AI in our online banking platform, already starting off. So you will see all this converge, not just for financing, but also for creating a lot of day-to-day efficiency in the way you make your payments and collections.
I see a strong focus where India is leading the AI journey, especially in logistics, because there are so many startups, as Mr. Parvinder said, who are playing leading roles. In fact, they created big business silos, and today in short period of 6 to 7 years, because of a platform, they've grown certain ways. So I think it's very, very clear that it has to lead.
On a lighter note, Sushant just called him an outsider. Buddy, everything is riding on you. You're the capital. The adoption, the investment, the margins, everything, the underlining is the money. You can't call yourself as an outsider.
But the complexity of your business. So I asked some of the senior guys, and you all have built for them, right? I asked some of the very, very senior guys when we met Mohit and some of the other guys in Bombay. I said, so he says, आप अकेले banker यहाँ पे क्यों है ना? क्योंकि हम बहुत boring काम करते हैं. So that stuck in my head, boring, but not doesn't mean that you're not, pushing tech. So you're boring, non-sexy maybe as a business, but you actually use tech in the background. I swear, this is the only industry which has pushed us so much. API chahiye, ye chahiye, wo chahiye, everything. So I'll give you one last example. We give something called a Swift GPI, which basically means you can track your FX end to end. That, even when I had come last time to Delhi, a lot of people said, Orange Cargo, I think. A lot of people said, that really helps me because मुझे मालूम है मेरा पैसा कहाँ पे है and when I'll get my credit, which I normally didn't have visibility.
Yeah, in today's world of fraud is one of the points which you've done this. So I'll move to Dr. Arloph. I think he'll be the last final authority in talking about AI, especially on the other side of the table. Over to you.
Let me tell you, in pharma at least, logistics problems, at least majority of the problems, are because very poor forecasting what is done at the beginning, okay? And I'll give you a small example. In India, Indian companies I talk about, I've said this in many forums, the sales in the first 3 weeks is 30%, and the sale in the last week is 70%. And suddenly no trucks are available, no containers are available, everything happens. Yes. I hope all cargo orders are on sync with me. Now why this happens? Because we have a 12 months forecast. Whereas if you look at multinationals, they have 52 weeks forecast. So they go on weekly basis and our Indian companies go on. Now, when you go on a monthly basis, if your demand forecasting is not proper, and you are gone. Now, with AI, and there are a lot of machine learning models which are coming, wherein, they are improved the demand forecasting to a great extent, and this will automatically help the logistic industry in a way. That's one way of looking at it. The second area is, where in distribution setups, especially large warehouses and today the mundane activities are being done by AI-powered forklifts and AI-powered autonomous robots, where they are doing the picking, sorting, and all the packing and all. And this is done by large companies, even DHL is doing. Even for route optimization, algorithms are made, they put in data of weather, and they put in data of lot of, routes are there, weather is taken, traffic is, and then they come out with the route. Amazon is using for their drivers to improve their driver paths by using this. So there's a lot of, without AI we are not going to, it's only helping us. Of course it will never replace, because today I think the skilled staff will only be the supervisors of what they used to actually do the work. Okay, now manual working will be taken over by somebody, but they will be good supervisors now. At least they'll see whether the robots are doing properly and all. So there's a lot of thing of upskilling and reskilling which is required, but AI is here to stay. So nobody should ever think that whether we should or not. That's not the question now anymore.
Thank you, Doctor. So I'll just put some comments on mine on the ending note. One of the key learning for us is technology in logistics is not an option, it's a necessity. We talk about automation, digitization, artificial intelligence. It's a need of the hour. Not only to drive digitization in your companies, but also to transform through tools, technology solutions, change management, which is a must to have. So the importance in learning is technology is no longer a back office solution. It's more of a business making, business decision tool, and it leads upfront in driving revenue. Thank you so much. Any questions? Open to questions. Yeah, please.
So please put the mic on.
Hello. This is Yogesh Sharma, and I know we have talked a lot about like how within the organization we are implementing the technology, but my question is how we will be implementing the technology across different organizations which can utilize that river flow or data by the different organizations.
So can you keep the mic closer because they're not able to hear you?
Okay. My question is, technology has been implemented within the organization with a lot of efforts going on in that direction, but how the technology will be implemented between the organizations like intra-organizations, and who will be implementing those?
So you're absolutely right. If companies and organizations adopt technology, the next logical part is data interoperability, right? One system talking to the other system, or everyone in the ecosystem talking to each other. So I'm not saying that we've achieved this 100%, but we have done that at least for the logistics ecosystem. So as we make softwares and ERPs for freight forwarders, right? What we've done is, okay, now that the freight forwarder is adopted technology, okay, he's adopted an ERP where his entire or her entire data or their company's entire data is running in a single logical way, on a single logical platform. Around that, we've built an ecosystem, which we call it as a data highway, which is linked to various other stakeholders within this ecosystem. It could be a port, it could be a shipping line, it could be an airline, it could be a customs, it could be their own shipper, it could be their consignee. So once the data is there on a single system, to link it to the other systems, be it on any other system possible, right? That's why we call it as, we call our software as a platform for freight forwarders. Because now that they are there on it, and once they are doing their entire business processes on a single system, we have made a way how they can share the data in the entire ecosystem, be it a bank, much rather, right? Be it your payables or receivables. So once you have digitalized, the next logical and the most important aspect is data interoperability, which even Meheriar had mentioned at the start. And that is what we have achieved, at least for a freight forwarder's perspective.
Yeah, normally on an implementation framework, when you look at a requirement to be implemented, you could take one process for a company, successfully implement it, and then move to the another processes, then complete the full silo. And the same can be replicated for other business areas also. When you have implemented the full cycle, the data interoperability can work seamlessly. There are various other ways also to do it, but this is one way.
Thank you so much, panelists. A very enlightening session. This discussion offered a clear view on how digital transformation will shape the future of cargo and logistics. Thank you to our distinguished panelists and our moderator, Mr. Meheriar Patel, for sharing such valuable insights. Can we have resounding applause, ladies and gentlemen? May I now request Mr. Mohit Mewani to join us on the stage to felicitate our remarkable industry leaders for their kind presence, acknowledge and present them with a token of appreciation, along with our remarkable moderator, Mr. Meheriar Patel. First, we have Mr. Kunal Maheshwari from Softlink Global. Please put your hands together for Mr. Kunal Maheshwari. Next, we have Mr. Parvinder Singh from Infomatic. Mr. Sushant Shetty from DBS Bank, India. Mr. Pankaj Aggarwal from UniBuild.ai, Motherson Group. Dr. Arloph John Vieira from Bajaj Healthcare. And Mr. Pavel Mehta from Pernod Ricard. Now I request Mr. Mohit Mewani to felicitate a remarkable moderator, Mr. Meheriar Patel, and present him a token of appreciation. I request now all the panelists to please gather together for a group picture. Thank you everyone for joining us on the stage.